No, they have something coming. You know, NASA has told them there's going to be a call out. I'm sure it won't take long before Labour joins them. And by the grace of God Almighty, we will all empty into the street and ensure that go they will. If they will not listen appropriately, if they think that anybody is going to allow them.
Do you think that this government is not listening?
No, I think this government is sheer irresponsible and incompetent. Nobody has time for putting and powdering their face anymore. What do you think they are doing? Do you know what's going on in the country? Do you know how many lives have been lost as a result of their useless policies that doesn't make sense? What kind of person who calls himself an accountant would not know that a nation that is so export dependent, you got to manage your exchange rate, how by crook or by means, or whatever means? What kind of person comes onto a chair? He has not even looked at the books. He doesn't even know what is there. He doesn't say, it's gone, it's gone.
But the president had told Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, he is a reformer that is trying to take a painful route in reforming the economy and the nation.
Thank you. For a man who's using our money to be buying new jets, for a man who's buying Escalades bulletproof, for a man who's spending money like he's going out of fashion, is that how Deng Xiaoping managed China before he got to Xi Jinping? Is that how China? He's not reforming anything. He's just wasting everybody's time and creating chaos. And he's trying to get national anger to get to a point. It will be a boiling point. Let me tell you, my dear friend, everywhere you have seen a tipping point where people have just said enough. It has always been one senseless government policy after the other, with their lackeys coming to say, oh, it's okay. You are forgetting that we're talking about human lives here. We're talking about people's hunger. We're talking about the cost of living of the Nigerian people. What is their excuse? You are telling us now that, oh, NNPC that can say they are bringing a profit of, is it 3.7 trillion as their profit, at the same time, this is madness.
We have tried to live a Nigeria designed by Great Britain and handed to us. We have found it difficult to live in that Nigeria. We have fought a civil war, killed so many people, and still we have the same problems reoccurring. Perhaps the time has come to revisit the very foundations of.
I should be able, if I'm sitting down with the service chief, if they tell any lie, I can see through it. I was a Biafran army officer. When you tell a lie, I can see through it, unless you are complicit. How do we start? About just before you came back on board, I have seen Nnamdi Kanu 2 times with the DSS. Only one of the most brilliant, well-spoken young men this country has ever produced.
Our currency has become the weakest in the sub-region, weaker than the CFA. A nation is not run as if it's your private enterprise. A serious National Assembly will be calling the president, who doubles as the Minister of Petroleum, to come and answer charges. Really?
They say
that
NNPCL.
is an impeachable offense. The man doubles as the Minister of Petroleum. But they have something coming.
All right.
And they will be shocked at what will come at them.
If, for example, your electrical gadgets in the house are malfunctioning and it started burning, and someone suggests a solution to you that once you off the light, that the fire is going to stop, and you go on and switch more lights on, and you added the power supply, you double it, and the fire continues, what do you think that the person who suggested the solution to you will think? They would think that you are the one who wants the fire to burn. And that is exactly what the federal government of Nigeria, I think they are doing when it comes to release of Nnamdi Kanu. Someone they started arresting back then in the year 2014-2015. This is about 10 years, and there is no court of law in Nigeria that have found this man guilty. I mean, if this man is guilty, what is stopping the federal government to pass the judgment that this man is guilty? Because I think that this man is not guilty of the charges leveled against him. Now, there is upcoming court case on September 24th and 24, and people are thinking or believing that he will be released. But for me, I think there are more things to this that people must know, especially if Kanu is not released, because the insecurity in the southeast could be linked to the detention of Nnamdi Kanu. According to Dan Ulasi, people are using Nnamdi Kanu's name to perpetrate so many crimes because they believe that since Nnamdi Kanu is in detention, let us do it, and we'll tag his organization that IPOB are doing it. That is what Dan Ulasi just said.
Somebody you're calling a bandit is somebody's son, is somebody's daughter. We can approach if there is no complicity. If there's no complicity at a very high level, it's not an impossible thing to sort out. But let us start somewhere. Let's use the Southeast as an example. Bring this young man out, keep him somewhere, And I'll tell you, you will not hear of kidnapping or anything. People are using his name to commit crimes in the southeast because he's being held. And they can't understand why he's being held. Because he's talking of justice for his people. I don't know why the bandits are fighting. I'm not from northeast or northwest. They must have a reason. Nobody puts his life on the line just for the sake of putting it on the line. Whether the reason is justifiable or not, it is a reason.
All right, so
the government has to look into and discuss. I should be able, if I'm sitting down with the service chief, if they tell any lie, I can see through it. I was a Biafran army officer. When you tell a lie, I can see through it, unless you are complicit. How do we start? About just before you came back on board, I have seen Nnamdi Kanu 2 times with the DSS. Only one of the most brilliant, well-spoken young men this country has ever produced. One of the well-spoken, brilliant young men this country has ever produced. What's his problem? Talking about justice. And I asked President Tinubu, why don't you take one risk? Bring out Nnamdi Kanu. Look at the judgment of the Supreme Court on him. Almost 99%. The Supreme Court of Nigeria condemned the Federal Republic of Nigeria about all they did against Nnamdi Kanu. But said because the appeal court said the lower court had no jurisdiction, that they should go back for trial. They didn't condemn him for doing anything. His problem. That's why I said Nnamdi Kanu is an identifiable quantity. Grant him, the appeal court has released him already. Grant him freedom. Keep him in one place. And see whether 90% of the problem is how it will not.
But he escaped.
He escaped and was attacked, and more than 27 people were killed, and he escaped. Supreme Court of Nigeria said it. Didn't you listen to the judgment? He was running for his life. They attacked his father's compound, and he escaped. That's why he left. So what I'm saying is that let us start somewhere with some experimentation. Now the government is holding him. Let's take a risk. I'm prepared with him, and I float on the same level with him. You may not like his methodology, but he has a lot of common sense. Is Nnamdi Kanu responsible for what is happening in Plateau, with the bandits, with Boko Haram? It's everywhere. Is he responsible for the explosion in Ibadan? Everywhere. So why can't we start? You know, Igbos have a saying: if you have a lot of enemies surrounding you, you buy drinks for some. So that they are drinking, you face some others. When you finish with them, you come back to those who are drinking. You cannot face all enemies at the same time. That is what this country is pretending to do. Because what started as protests in the southeast, it's all over the country now. Because they will tell you we were on top of it. I call the emergency meeting of all the security agents. We have been hearing this in Buhari. And what has changed? And we are still Nigerians, all Nigerians. I believe there must be something fundamental in this country that we can address. Dialogue. There will be no peace without dialogue. Give and take, no matter what it is.
No, they have something coming. You know, NASA has told them there's going to be a call out. I'm sure it won't take long before Labour joins them. And by the grace of God Almighty, we will all empty into the street and ensure that go they will. If they will not listen appropriately, if they think that anybody is going to allow them.
Do you think that this government is not listening?
No, I think this government is sheer irresponsible and incompetent. Nobody has time for putting and powdering their face anymore. What do you think they are doing? Do you know what's going on in the country? Do you know how many lives have been lost as a result of their useless policies that doesn't make sense? What kind of person who calls himself an accountant would not know that a nation that is so export dependent, you got to manage your exchange rate, how by crook or by means, or whatever means? What kind of person comes onto a chair? He has not even looked at the books. He doesn't even know what is there. He doesn't say, it's gone, it's gone.
But the president had told Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, he is a reformer that is trying to take a painful route in reforming the economy and the nation.
Thank you. For a man who's using our money to be buying new jets, for a man who's buying escalates bulletproof, for a man who's spending money like he's going out of fashion, is that how Deng Xiaoping managed China before he got to Xi Jinping? Is that how China? He's not reforming anything. He's just wasting everybody's time and creating chaos. And he's trying to get national anger to get to a point. It will be a boiling point. Let me tell you, my dear friend, everywhere you have seen a tipping point where people have just said enough. It has always been one senseless government policy after the other, with their lackeys coming to say, oh, it's okay. You are forgetting that we're talking about human lives here. We're talking about people's hunger. We're talking about the cost of living of the Nigerian people. What is their excuse? You are telling us now that, oh, NNPC that can say they are bringing a profit of, is it 3.7 trillion as their profit? At the same time, this is madness. This is sheer arrant madness. And we have been screaming about this NNPC since forever. Whatever. They came and said they are the expert. And now because they are expert, they will be living in plenty and they will expect the citizens to empathize with them. If you want to run a transformational government, you start transforming it from your body side, from where you are seated. You can't be showing us that we have all the money in the world, you are playing anyhow, you are running a government of yourself and your children and your family, and you expect the Nigerian people to accept that?
But is that the true state of things?
When was the last time you ever saw that they were swearing in an attorney general and the child of the president is there in the place? Ask who? In what capacity?
Does that affect the economy?
You see, it's always one misdemeanor, one misbehavior, one inappropriate conduct that ends up becoming the culture of a government. Look at their government. The man told us that, I have a person there who used to be in NPA that will be evaluating them and being key performance indicator and talking a lot of nonsense on television. After how many months? What have they been able to do? Who have they evaluated? If they had evaluated their minister, would they not have known that there's crisis there? What is the reason why the president has not fired himself as Minister of Petroleum? What is his explanation for why all this nonsense is going on in NNPC? Everything is just... Are we the only country that is making oil? Are we the only one selling it? People are not so much averse to, increase the prices like that, but not in this manner. They're saying now that they have to make appropriation, or they're going to give 3 billion to the federal account. That's the last thing they say. Look, Sheung, a nation is not run as if it's your private enterprise. There is separation in the government, and there is a National Assembly that is supposed to legislate and give you appropriation powers to do certain things.
But Mr. Shogumi, the NNPC is the federal government saying that, look, we are not privy. The market forces are taking control. If the NNPC says they've spent this money, but what we are hearing is, in fact, the availability problem was caused because NNPCL is owing to the tune of billions of dollars to those who have lifted, and that's why
you need to let me land.
And I'm saying
the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Tinubu, with due respect, could not have said this nation is not paying subsidy, and then one entity under this federation that does not have powers to run as if it's on the moon, in Mars, or in Jupiter, will now come and tell us that, we have been buying the fuel and they are scared of using the word subsidizing it. Who appropriated that?
So invariably they've been subsidizing.
They've not used the adjective subsidizing. They will have to come and tell us who gave them permission to appropriate our monies in that manner. One, how can you run the most important thing that carries our economy in such an opaque and a voodoo manner? And when we speak to these issues, with due respect, when we speak to these issues because the fact that they are in government does not mean they love the country more than those of us that are not in government. And they got a very, very small number to come and run this country. Therefore, they don't even have the majority right to be running all of us into trouble. The cost of living of our people is very, very high. They can barely cope. Our unemployment figures are very, very high. They can barely make a living. You have just said you are going to pay civil servant 70,000 naira. We have not seen how that is going to be, matched by private sector. Those who are not even on the payroll still have to survive. At the same time, you have increased the cost of energy. People still have to survive. At the same time, they even have the temerity to say they are going to increase VAT by 10%. Let us just be clear. The last outing when people were going on, they were going to say they're going to shut down the country and all that. We pulled them back with all our strength and didn't join it because we felt that, let's just manage that period. You cannot insult our sensibility with less than a month after such an event, and you are telling us now you are moving it to what? Who gave them the right to do that?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you were the CEO of a private company.
Which company is that?
No, I'm just giving an example. If you are a CEO of a private company, and the kind of statement that came from the NNPCL over the weekend, which a lot of people felt offended by, and in any case, coming out and unveiling to Nigerians what they have been doing that has become less transparent. What would you be doing to such the head or the leadership of such an entity?
You see, I have wondered, except to maybe if they have some crooked underhand dealings that government is just allowing them to get away with. There is no reason why Mile should be sitting down on that chair.
I mean,
he has been in charge of
the National Assembly.
He has been
just a moment. I'm asking you a question in the direction of where you are going.
Yeah.
That if Mr. Mele Kyari, who says he is in charge of a private entity that government has a stake in, is answerable to the private interest in a capitalist economy, what about the interest of the Nigerian people as represented by the National Assembly if this kind of thing is going on over the weekend? And now, shouldn't any reasonable National Assembly representing the voices of the Nigerian people be calling Mr. Mele Kyari and everybody that is involved to question them and answer to Nigerians the question about these prices, isn't it?
A serious National Assembly will not just be calling military, it's too small. A serious National Assembly will be calling the president, who doubles as the Minister of Petroleum, to come and answer charges. Appropriation is a very serious issue. One of the easiest way to get yourself into impeachment is for you to abuse your responsibility and authority. Somebody has some explanation, some serious explaining to do. I ask you, is the NNPC, whether it is privatized or not, running our national asset of crude and all of that on its own whims and caprice? And is it spending the resources that it makes by the sales of our national asset on its whims and crasses? Who gave them the authority to be balancing up the books and the numbers? How come they could have told us that there's no subsidy, and they're coming out to tell us not only have there been subsidy, they're telling us we are even owing to the tune of almost $6 billion, and then to slap us in the face in a most annoying and unfeeling manner, they're telling us they're going to change the price just like that.
Hold on, Mr. Oshowome. We're going to go on a break just in a moment, but I like to also balance this conversation because the presidency has been reacting about these subsidies that you're talking about. And this is what Mr. Bayo Nanuga said. He said, and I quote, "The Tinubu government did not lie about fuel subsidies. I have read a series of articles attacking the federal government for not telling the truth about fuel subsidy payments, following NNPC Limited's admittance that it was owing suppliers some $6 billion US. The truth is that there is no discovery, no lie uncovered. The government has been faithful to its policy that it was no longer going to pay fuel subsidies since President Tinubu announced the deregulation of the PMS sector on the 29th May 2023. Since then, subsidy provisions have disappeared from the budget. It was not in the supplementary budget of 2023, not in the 2024 budget, and the amended 2024 budget. How do you react to that?
They're acting in a more annoying manner. It means that not only are they spending without appropriation, they are even spending money that nobody knows where they are getting it from. So when people say our ours are stolen, our ours are not made, we are not auditing it well, we don't know how much we've made, why would you be disappointed when the people that are in charge of the government have the temerity to be telling us that NNPC has been spending that much money on whose authority and by whose approval?
The presidency has said we do not know anything about it.
Really?
They say
that
is
an impeachable offense. The man doubles as the Minister of Petroleum.
But they said that has been deregulated.
That your grandfather was a thief. Does that mean if your father steals a goat, they will not accuse him of being a thief? That was what happened then. This we're talking about now. I just told you the figures and how much we were selling it then. 97 naira. And how much are they telling us to come and buy it today? Can the Nigerians even afford it? It's one thing for you to be running a for-profit country in the midst of people that get enough wages that they can get by. You want to run a for maximum profit country so that you can circle in money, share it to the states and local government without the commensurate ability to supervise and know what they are doing with the money, and the Nigerian citizens will be the one bleeding. They have something coming.
All right.
And they will be shocked at what will come at them.